Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optics Podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and today I'll be discussing the recent Blu-ray releases of A Good Person and John Wick Chapter 4, which can now be found at your local retail stores. And I'd like to express my gratitude to Warner Brothers and to Lionsgate Studios for providing me with review copies of these discs specifically for this podcast episode. And before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Audible, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at Film Optics. That is Optics with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptics@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. So if you're new here to our show, welcome. This is more of a solo review that I do from time to time, where I like to cover a few home entertainment Blu-ray reviews for people out there who are interested in that kind of thing. It's a very niche type of a subject, but it's a subject that I care deeply about when it comes to physical media. So the way that we usually tackle these reviews is that we go through the whole shebang. We talk about my initial reactions when it comes to these films and just the overall package when it comes to the audio and the visual quality, the special features, things of that nature, and to let you know if this is something that is worth picking up for your Blu-ray collection. I always tell people out there to make your own Blu-ray collection, your DVD collection, however you want to phrase it. Make it your own. Don't buy movies for the sake of having a collection. You should only be buying Blu-rays for movies that you want to watch again and again, multiple times over, or movies that really stuck with you. And these are two movies that definitely stuck with me. So without any further delay, we're just going to dive right on into both of these reviews, starting with A Good Person. So we'll be right back after this introduction to our A Good Person Blu-ray review.
'Cause all the people are dancing and they're having such fun. I wish it could happen to me. So baby, close that door. I'd never have to see the day again. Oh yeah, I'd never have to see the day again. That's right, sing!
I'd never have to see the day again.
Encore, Ali! No! I am way too drunk to be singing in front of people.
And we are back with our A Good Person Blu-ray review. This film follows Allison, whose life falls apart after her involvement in a fatal accident. And as I mentioned before, you can pick up this Blu-ray combo pack, this Blu-ray digital combo pack, I should say, at your local retail store, and will run you around $24.99, depending where you go. I believe it is listed for $24.99 on Amazon's website. So this is a film that regrettably we were not able to cover on the show altogether when it came to just our main review content that we pump out. But as a fan of this movie and as a fan of Florence Pugh, I decided to go see it myself, just all on my own, because we watch so many movies and TV shows here on the show that it's very rare when we're able to kind of just go to the movies and enjoy something for what it is without having that little voice in the back of our mind saying, hey, we have to review this sort of thing. But as far as my initial reactions go for this film, if you haven't seen it, as a dedicated Florence Pugh fan, I must say that I thoroughly enjoyed this movie that was directed by Zach Braff, and it stands as a remarkable piece of storytelling that delves into themes such as loss, forgiveness, sadness, love, and the indomitable nature of the human spirit. Witnessing the collaboration of Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman was a true delight on screen. and I absolutely adored their chemistry together. Their exceptional performances left me eager to see them team up again for future projects, and I hope that they do. And as you've heard from the little intro into this review, it is worth noting that Florence Pugh possesses an extraordinary singing voice, adding yet another layer to her already impressive talents. The video quality of this film has a lot of somber visuals, but they appear reasonably well when it comes to the standard 1080p transfer, this standard Blu-ray disc altogether. The film's digital source material is accurately represented here. You'll see a lot of washed out colors that are in this movie, much like you would see in the world of, I would say, The Last of Us TV show in a way. Not maybe as dark, but this is not a happy story, and the picture quality and the picture videos reflect what type of movie that this is. It's not always a downer, again, as you heard from the little intro that was played during the beginning, but there are a lot of depressing and heartfelt moments when it comes to this film. And although this movie did not perform well at the box office as much as I would want to, I feel like a 4K edition of this movie might have yielded better overall results, I should say. But nonetheless, I think the 1080p transfer here is fine. Usually when it comes to the picture quality for packages that only have the standard Blu-ray, there's not much to talk about, but I will say I wish that the black levels fall a little bit short when it comes to the widescreen angles, because there's a lot of black levels in this movie that could really have taken advantage of certain scenes, but it is what it is. But like I said before, this is a good 1080p transfer. I think this movie shines more so on the audio side. Most of the sound comes from the front of the speakers, focusing on the dialogue, ensuring that it is easy to understand for all of its viewers. And there are moments in this film where the sound almost expands, which creates a more immersive feeling, for better or for worse, depending on the sound system or what kind of speakers that you are playing this movie on. For example, there are a lot of scenes in the AA church meeting that happen that is a lot of very echoey scenes that really just fills the room. And the vibrant concert that happens, there's like this really big rave scene that happens where, again, the expanded sound really takes control of the entire scene. And an after party that happens in Brooklyn where the audio becomes more dynamic and engaging. So like I said, the audio here is probably the best part of this entire package. And the music in this film plays a crucial role in the setting of the atmosphere of this movie. The audio mix captures it very, very well. Again, as you heard from the nice little Florence piano song that played during the beginning of the review, with a wide range of sounds and even some powerful bass moments as well that really, sets the tone for certain scenes. But overall, I think the audio representation here is done well, delivering an enjoyable experience. And additionally, the film includes optional subtitles, including English, French, and Spanish, to make it more accessible for a wider audience. Now, here comes the super sad part of this whole review portion. Unfortunately, smaller films like this usually often miss out on expansive special features that larger films receive. There are no special features in this combo pack, but again, you get the Blu-ray version and you also get a digital copy, which is usually hit or miss for some movies and especially for some shows that I've definitely reviewed here on the show. I'm looking at you, His Dark Materials, Season 3, no digital copy whatsoever. I was flabbergasted when I found that out. But you do get a digital copy when it comes to A Good Person. So you have the option to either redeem that for yourself or when you're traveling or on the go. And it's like, hey, I want to pop on A Good Person. I want to show my mother, my brother, my significant other who lives in different states, A Good Person. Or you can share that digital copy and give it to a friend as a nice little gift. My final thoughts for this film are quite simple. For the fans of Morgan Freeman and Florence Pugh out there, I highly recommend that you get your hands on this film, in my opinion. It offers a worthwhile experience that is fairly priced. If it was up to me personally, I probably would have valued it around $20 considering the absence of special features, but that shouldn't overshadow what this combo pack has to offer. So I don't want people to miss out on this opportunity to witness this remarkable film and the incredible performances that it offers. And now it's time to move on to our John Wick Chapter 4 4K Blu-ray coverage. So we'll be right back after this introduction to our John Wick Chapter 4 Blu-ray review.
So, you want to kill him? You want to kill him? I want to kill him. What about you, Mr. Wick?
I'm going to kill you.
Oh, for better, of course, yeah. But it looks like we have ourselves a genuine conundrum. A quandary, if you will. A real-life dilemma. So, I thought we'd play a game. One hand. The winner decides who lives and who does not.
And we are back with our John Wick Chapter 4 4K Blu-ray review. Man, that is a mouthful to say. But if you don't know what John Wick is, what are you doing here? Clearly, this is for the fans. I'm very surprised that we got a fourth entry of this series, and we might be looking at a fifth along with some spin-off series as well. But the release date for this movie dropped on Tuesday, June 13th, I believe, and it is priced around $26.99 on Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, Target, wherever you pick up your Blu-ray reviews. So I'm just going to get straight into this one. When it comes to just my initial reactions, because we actually did cover this on our show, and I will leave a link in the episode notes down below that you can check out our full thoughts on John Wick Chapter 4. But just a quick summary of what I thought of the movie. When it comes to action movies, John Wick Chapter 4, in my opinion, is often hailed as one of the best action movies ever made, and it's not hard to see why. While some may argue that the runtime could have been shorter, one thing is for certain: John Wick, Mr. John Wick, played by Keanu Reeves, his presence in this film is the major draw, and audiences simply could not get enough of Keanu Reeves' captive portrayal of this iconic character. Keanu Reeves' charismatic and intense performance as John Wick elevates this film to another level. Despite the pacing concerns, like I said before, this movie does push around 3 hours. I believe it is around 3 hours long, but the movie's action sequences are undeniably thrilling, and it just kept me on the edge of my seat through and through. And I think that John Wick Chapter 4 has rightfully earned its reputation as one of the pinnacle, if not the pinnacle, of action movies, thanks to the compelling storyline that Keanu Reeves was able to bring to the table, and especially with his magnetic performance and just the breathtaking action scenes that happen. This is a really good movie. I believe this is currently in my top 5 favorite movies of the year, especially on Letterboxd, where you can go check out our review there, or just my initial thoughts of watching the movie in IMAX, no less, because man, does this movie not shine when it comes to the IMAX sections. It is fantastic. And with that said, that kind of just goes into the picture quality, when talking about the IMAX experience that I had with this film on my first watch. I believe that this movie delivers a visual and stunning experience with its impressive 4K transfer. This film's stylized color palettes are enhanced by the Dolby Vision / HDR10, so you actually get both in one package, creating a mesmerizing display of vibrant hues from its neon lit rooms to natural sunsets. The visual contrasts in this film are just simply breathtaking. I absolutely love it. I would probably say this is one of the most flawless visual experiences I've ever seen, especially watching it again at home on my OLED LG at C1. The black levels are just insane, and it's a film that is the feast for the eyes on any big screen, especially, like I said, if you have like a 4K OLED TV, it brings it to a whole new level. And the picture quality is nothing without the audio quality, which again just really hits the mark here. And the audio itself, accompanied with the Dolby Atmos track, immediately just makes its presence known. There's a lot of thundering effects accompanied by John Wick's relentless assaults on his enemies. And it's so... And I know I'm kind of rambling here, but when it comes to the dialogue of this film, it's very crisp. It's very intelligible. You can hear what's going on. It ensures the audience that they can easily follow along with this movie. There are a lot of films out there where the picture quality does not match the audio quality. And one that comes to mind is Tenet, directed by Christopher Nolan. That was the last movie that he made with Warner Brothers before switching over to Universal, I believe. And when I watched Tenet in IMAX, mind you, it looked fantastic, but I could not hear a darn thing. Like, the audio track was so muffled, and especially with so many different accents of certain characters throwing up on screen, it was very hard to understand what was going on. And it wasn't due to the actors' performances within Tenet when it came to Robert Pattinson or John David Washington. It was just the audio mix for Tenet is terrible. And I bought the 4K for that as well, the 4K Blu-ray disc for Tenet, and it's also terrible. But you don't have that issue here with John Wick. It's everything. Like I said, you can hear and see everything. And I have to commend them for that, because when it comes to movies like this, I think it's important for audiences to understand and follow along with the unfolding narrative that is happening, especially with John Wick Chapter 4. It's a very simple story, but, the picture quality, like I said, is only as good as the audio quality, or should be as good as the audio quality. And it hits the mark here. No matter what kind of TV you're watching this on, even if you're watching this on your laptop, you're going to hear everything, and you're going to understand every piece of dialogue. You're going to, cheer for the great moments. And, when it comes to the heavy pieces of dialogue, you're going to be engaged and immersed, because you can actually understand and hear and listen to what's going on. And additionally, I always like to add this in. Viewers will have the option to access optional subtitles when it comes to the audio. That is English, French, or Spanish, catering to a wider range of language preferences and accessibility needs, especially for people who are deaf and or hard of hearing, who want to enjoy this movie like the rest of us. So when it comes to the special features of John Wick Chapter 4, there's a lot. This movie treats fans to a generous 77 minutes of bonus material on both the 4K and Blu-ray disc. Even though it would have been more convenient to have a consolidated hour-long extra for special features all together, I found that the blend of information that we get between the interviews, the behind the scenes extras really makes up for it. Although like there isn't like an audio commentary when it comes to John Wick Chapter 4, but I'm hoping that at some point, when we can get an audio commentary and deleted scenes in the future within like there's a trilogy set, but I guess since this is the fourth one, this would be like a quadrilogy set. So if they make like a full collection John Wick 4K sets, I'm hoping that would come with the audio commentary and deleted scenes. But for what we get for 77 minutes, with like I said, the interviews and the behind the scene extras, I think it really makes up for now. But I would hope to see a beefed up version of a John Wick collection set down the line with deleted scenes for all movies, including obviously Chapter 4. But the current bonus features are a joy to behold, and notably the exclusive scenes that happen in the special features are for the upcoming series, which adds a little touch of excitement, at least for me, showcasing its wonderful visuals all in all. I think that these bonus materials offer a delightful experience for any fan to enjoy. As it comes from my final thoughts for, this entire 4K package on whether or not you should add this to your Blu-ray collection, this is a no-brainer. Absolutely. It is a perfect reference for what 4K audio and video are supposed to look and sound like when it comes to home theater releases. I know there are a lot of 4K sets out there that are very lazy when it comes to either just transfers and or just new movies coming out on the 4K platform. But I think this film hits all the right beats, delivering a thrilling experience from start to finish. Its visual style, like I said, is unparalleled, surpassing all of its previous installments in the franchise as well. But just to close out, my final thoughts for this, without a doubt, John Wick Chapter 4 is a demo-worthy masterpiece that deserves a place in your collection. It's a must-own for any fan of the high-octane action and cinematic experience. And honestly, just ready to get thoroughly impressed, because obviously the best way to experience this movie, again, I would think would be in a Dolby or IMAX setting. But again, if you have an OLED LG or just any OLED TV with like a decent sound system, it's gonna be a wild ride for sure. But that concludes both of our A Good Person and John Wick Chapter 4 Blu-ray reviews. Again, I would like to thank Warner Brothers and Lionsgate for sending out review copies for me for the purposes of this podcast episode. And that is a wrap on today's episode. If you like what you heard on today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform of choice. Make sure to share an episode of our podcast with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, or your significant other. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optics podcast with a movie lover in need. Make sure to spread that love to all corners of the globe. And with all that said, thank you all for listening. If you enjoy the show, again, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. I'm your host, Christian, signing off. And remember, life is like a movie, so go out there and make it a blockbuster.